Benjamin Sesko just killed United's transfer dreams with one Instagram post. Imagine spending months planning your dream holiday, booking everything, getting excited about it, only to wake up one morning and find out your destination just got hit by a hurricane. That's exactly how Manchester United fans must feel right now after Benjamin Sesko's latest Instagram post. The 22-year-old striker, who many United fans hoped would be the answer to their goal-scoring problems, has just posted pictures of himself wearing RB Leipzig's brand new kit for next season. Not just any pictures. Official-looking photos with the caption, "Getting some pictures for new season." If that doesn't scream, "I'm staying put," then what does? But here's the thing. This story is about much more than just one Instagram post. It's about how quickly things can change in football, how Arsenal's move for another striker has changed everything, and what this means for United's increasingly desperate search for a reliable goalscorer. So let's dive into this transfer saga and figure out what really happened, why Sesko seems to be staying at Leipzig, and most importantly, what United should do next. Who is Benjamin Sesko and why should United care? Before we get into the drama, let's talk about why Benjamin Sesko became such a hot property in the first place. The Slovenian striker isn't just another promising youngster. He's a player who has been lighting up the Bundesliga and making some of Europe's biggest clubs take notice. Last season, Sesko scored 21 goals and provided 6 assists in 45 appearances for RB Leipzig. Now, those numbers might not sound earth-shattering, but when you consider he's only 22 years old and playing in one of Europe's toughest leagues, they become much more impressive. What makes Sesko special isn't just his goal tally, it's how he scores them. Standing at 6 feet 5 inches, he's got the physical presence to bully defenders, but he's also surprisingly quick and technically gifted. He can score with his head, both feet, and from anywhere in the box. That's exactly the kind of complete striker that United have been missing. Remember when United had players like Ruud van Nistelrooy or Robin van Persie? Clinical finishers who could score from nothing and change games single-handedly? Sesko has that same potential. He's the type of player who could turn United's draws into wins and their losses into draws. But here's what really caught everyone's attention. Sesko scored twice against Bayern Munich last season. That's not just any team, that's one of the best clubs in world football. When a young striker can perform against that level of opposition, you know he's something special. The Arsenal connection that changed everything. To understand why Sesko's situation has become so complicated, we need to talk about Arsenal. The Gunners were reportedly leading the race for Sesko's signature and had made him their #1 striker target for this summer. Arsenal's interest made perfect sense. They've been looking for a reliable goalscorer for years, and Sesko fitted their profile perfectly. Young, talented, and with huge potential for improvement. With Mikel Arteta's coaching, many believed Sesko could become one of the world's best strikers. But then something unexpected happened. Arsenal suddenly switched their attention to Victor Gyökeres from Sporting CP. The Swedish striker had an incredible season in Portugal, scoring 43 goals in 50 appearances. Those numbers were too good to ignore, and Arsenal decided to make their move. Reports suggest that Arsenal have agreed to pay around £63.8 million for Gyökeres, plus additional bonuses. They've also agreed personal terms with the player on a 5-year contract. The deal is apparently so close that Gyökeres has stopped training with Sporting CP, which has angered the Portuguese club. This sudden shift from Arsenal changed everything for Sesko. Instead of having a clear path to the Premier League with the Gunners, he's now back to square one. And that's where United come into the picture. United's history with Sesko. Here's something interesting that many fans might not know. United actually tried to sign Sesko before. Back in 2022, when he was still at Red Bull Salzburg, United made an approach for the young striker. But Sesko turned them down. At that time, United were going through a difficult period, and the prospect of joining a struggling club probably wasn't appealing to a promising young player who had his pick of clubs across Europe. However, things have changed since then. Sesko's agent has made multiple visits to Old Trafford and United's training ground at Carrington. This suggests that the relationship between the player and the club has remained positive, despite the earlier rejection. There's also been a significant change at United. The club now has new ownership, a new structure, and a new manager in Ruben Amorim. For a young player like Sesko, this represents a fresh start and a new opportunity. The question is whether United are willing to try again, and whether Sesko would be open to reconsidering his position on joining the club. The Instagram post that changed everything. Now let's talk about that Instagram post that has got everyone talking. On a Wednesday afternoon, Sesko posted 2 pictures of himself wearing Leipzig's brand new kit for the 2025-26 season. He was wearing the number 30 shirt and looked comfortable and happy in the photos. The caption was simple but telling, "Getting some pictures for new season." No mention of uncertainty about his future. No hints about wanting to leave. Just a straightforward message about preparing for the upcoming season. For transfer watchers, this was a huge moment. When a player posts pictures in their current club's new kit, it usually means they're planning to stay. It's not definitive proof, but it's a strong indication of their mindset. Think about it from Sesko's perspective. If he was planning to leave Leipzig this summer, would he really be promoting their new kit on his social media? It would be strange to do that if he was actively looking for a move elsewhere. The timing of the post was also significant. It came just as reports were emerging about intermediaries offering Sesko to United, Chelsea, and Liverpool for around £60 million. It almost felt like Sesko was responding to these reports by showing his commitment to Leipzig. Why Leipzig don't want to sell. To understand why this transfer saga has unfolded the way it has, we need to look at it from Leipzig's perspective. The German club have invested heavily in Sesko's development, and they're not in any rush to sell him. Leipzig signed Sesko from Red Bull Salzburg in 2023, and he's become a key player for them. He's not just a goal scorer, he's a focal point of their attack and a player that their entire system is built around. The club also has him tied down to a long-term contract. Last summer, when there was similar speculation about his future, Sesko signed a new 5-year deal with Leipzig. This gives the club huge negotiating power and means they can demand top dollar for their star player. From Leipzig's perspective, why would they sell their best striker unless they absolutely had to? They're competing in the Champions League, they're challenging for trophies, and they have a player who's only going to get better. It makes sense for them to keep him for at least another season. There's also the financial aspect. Leipzig know that Sesko's value is only going to increase if he continues to perform at his current level. A good season next year could see his price rise to £80 or £90 million, maybe even more. What this means for United. So where does this leave United? With Arsenal out of the picture for Sesko and the players seemingly happy to stay at Leipzig, United's options are becoming limited. The club is already struggling with the Bryan Mbeumo situation, where Brentford's asking price has proved too high. They're also trying to navigate a complex swap deal for Nicholas Jackson with Chelsea. Now, their potential third attacking option appears to be staying in Germany. This is the harsh reality of modern football transfers. Players have more power than ever before, and clubs can't always get the players they want, even when they're willing to pay big money. For United, this means they need to be more creative in their approach. Maybe they need to look at younger players who are hungry for the chance to prove themselves at a bigger club. Maybe they need to consider players from different leagues who might be available for lower fees. The danger for United is that they end up with no new striker at all. Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee showed promise last season, but they both had inconsistent spells. United need more depth and reliability in their attack if they want to compete at the highest level. The bigger picture. The Sesko situation is part of a broader trend in football. The best young players are increasingly happy to stay at clubs where they know they'll get regular playing time and continue their development. The days when every promising player wanted to immediately jump to the biggest clubs are over. This is actually healthy for football. It means that clubs like Leipzig can hold onto their best players for longer, which makes the sport more competitive. It also means that young players are thinking more carefully about their career moves, rather than just chasing the biggest paycheck. For United, this means they need to be more persuasive in their approach to transfers. It's not enough to just offer money. They need to sell a vision, show how a player fits into their plans, and convince them that Old Trafford is the right place for their development. The club's struggles in recent years have made this harder. Why would a young player choose United over a club that's regularly competing for trophies? This is the challenge that the new ownership and management structure need to address. What should United do next? With Sesko apparently staying at Leipzig, United need to quickly pivot to other options. The transfer window is moving fast, and they can't afford to waste time on deals that aren't going to happen. One option is to go back to the drawing board and look at different types of strikers. Maybe they need to consider older, more experienced players who are available for lower fees. Maybe they need to look at players from different leagues who might be more open to a move. Another option is to focus on other positions and trust that their current strikers will improve with better service. If United can sign creative players like Mbeumo, maybe Højlund and Xerxes will get better opportunities to score goals. The key is not to panic. United have made too many desperate signings in recent years, and they can't afford to repeat those mistakes. It's better to go into the season with the current squad than to overpay for the wrong player. The lessons for United fans. This whole saga teaches us something important about modern football transfers. They're unpredictable, they're complicated, and they don't always work out the way we expect them to. As United fans, we need to be patient with the process. The club is trying to build something sustainable, and that takes time. Not every transfer target will work out, and that's okay as long as the club has a clear plan and sticks to it. We also need to remember that players are human beings with their own motivations and desires. Sesko might genuinely believe that staying at Leipzig is the best thing for his career right now. We might disagree with that assessment, but we have to respect his right to make that choice. The most important thing is that United continue to identify and pursue the right type of players. Even if individual deals don't work out, the fact that they're targeting players like Sesko shows that they understand what they need. Looking ahead. So what happens next? With Sesko apparently staying at Leipzig, United need to move quickly to secure alternatives. The Premier League season is just around the corner, and they need to have their squad in place well before then. There will be other strikers available, and United scouts will already be working on alternative targets. The key is to learn from this experience and be better prepared for similar situations in the future. One thing is certain, this won't be the last time we see Sesko linked with a move to the Premier League. He's still only 22 years old, and if he continues to develop at his current rate, he'll eventually make the move to one of Europe's biggest clubs. Maybe that club will be United, but maybe it won't. The important thing is that United focus on finding the right players for their system, regardless of who those players are. Conclusion: the reality of modern transfers. Benjamin Sesko's decision to apparently stay at Leipzig is disappointing for United fans, but it's not the end of the world. The club has survived bigger setbacks than this, and they'll continue to pursue other targets. What this saga really shows us is how complex modern football transfers have become. It's not just about money anymore, it's about timing, relationships, career planning, and dozens of other factors that we might not even be aware of. For United, the key is to stay focused on their long-term plan. They're building something new at Old Trafford, and that process will have ups and downs. Missing out on one player, even a good one like Sesko, isn't going to derail the entire project. The club has good young strikers in Højlund and Xerxes, and they're still pursuing other attacking options like Mbeumo and Jackson. There are always alternatives available, and United's job is to find the ones that work best for their system. As fans, we need to trust the process and support the team regardless of which players they manage to sign. The most important thing is that United continue to show ambition and make smart decisions in the transfer market. The Sesko saga might be over for now, but United's summer transfer window is far from finished. There will be more twists and turns before September, and hopefully some of them will work out in United's favor. Until then, we wait, we hope, and we remember that football is about more than just individual players. It's about the team, the system, and the collective effort to achieve success. With or without Sesko, United will continue their journey back to the top of English football.